Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch Firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. All right, I'm going to get this fixed in 1 second. Hold on. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just did this with Razul.
You want to tell the people what you got going on?
Yeah.
As they stare at us?
It should be occurring. I'm trying to figure out why. Because I just did fine.
I hear you tapping on the microphone.
I know why. Hold on. I know why. Sorry. Hold on. I'll be right back. Again. Okay. No echo?
Nope, you're good.
Oh, got it. Sorry. So long. All right. So we are here finally for Huskies Health and the man himself, former UConn star, host of the hit podcast All Black Men Need Therapy, and so do I.
he is a mental health advocate, and he is a champion for fathers' rights. Chris Bellamy.
What's up, Cully? I'm glad you the show must go on, right? As they say. You got the audio issues, but you're making it work. You're making it work.
Watching me throwing microphones around, plugging things in. I appreciate your patience in dealing
Yeah,
with
man. All good, all good. I had
But
we
to
got some
have
friends.
anytime I get to have you on, absolutely, absolutely. I
Yeah, I'm
will
glad we can make it work on such short notice. So this is good.
I will do whatever it possibly takes. So I had been talking with Erica Higgins, and she was taking her son Owen to school
I
for
saw.
for the first time, and it brought back some memories of my first time being dropped off, and I'm sure everyone's first time being left in that environment, and it really is a challenge. It really is a mental health adjustment when you're put there because the coaches are your best friends. And as soon as you get on campus, they own you. and it's a stark change because a lot of kids struggle knowing that you're there for a reason and you're there for business to win them games. And she had even asked me this, if you could talk about some of the things that may go through freshmen' minds as they enter college for the first time, as they get dropped off.
So it's so funny you're saying this because I mean, obviously our experience is different, right? We play football. So when I say our experience is different, because you got to remember, I got dropped off as a freshman, but also had my daughter who went to UConn, who I dropped off as well. So I got both ends of the spectrum. But the reason why I say it's funny you bring this up because I literally about 45 minutes ago I just posted something on my story on Instagram, and this is a guy talking in front of the camera. He says something like she's wondering why I'm so cold. She's never had a coach or she's never had a friend experience a life altering injury on the practice field, and the coach just say, "Move it up 10 yards." Like, or
But it was
so, dude,
exactly what it was. Move it up.
dude, never forget. I'll never forget the first time I saw that at the Berkshires in freshman. I mean, in big we're at camp, and somebody I don't know if it was Fitzsimmons or Fleeter, somebody it was a wide receiver, and they got hit pretty bad, and nothing stopped. Edsel moved it up 10 yards, and I'm like, "Yo, is somebody gonna do something about my man over here?" But
What was
dude,
watching?
it was
Like,
crazy.
wow, it was bad.
And I just and I think that moment, that was my first moment that like the welcome to college football, like that was my for I didn't get any big hits to welcome to college football, but like that when that happened, I'm like, oh, okay, this is different over here. This is different. So I I bring that up because that's to your point, right? So again, speaking from an athlete perspective, you got being away from your parents, which in most cases um is the first time for a lot of people. And then you got the one you're going to college, right? More autonomy from an education standpoint than you probably had ever experienced. More autonomy from a freedom standpoint than you may have experienced with not no longer being home. And for some people, they're being exposed to things they've never been exposed to before. Like for me in particular, the first time I ever got drunk was in college. So I didn't drink in high school or anything like that. So I didn't know what that stuff was about. Not that I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know how it was going to affect me. So um so yeah, it's a lot of emotions, man. I have a coworker, a partner, and she's sending her son. He's going to Michigan State next week, And she's one of those people who is one of the most amazing people, but like doesn't get emotional. Like she's just not that person. And she's like, Bells, I don't know how I'm gonna be. And that scares me. She's like, when I bring him on whatever day next week, she's like, I don't know how it's gonna hit me and how it's gonna impact me. So I say that to say it's twofold, right? Like you got the parents being impacted. For some parents have one child and now their child is gone, and they're in college and there's nerves, they're scared, there's identity with being a parent, that but for all intents and purposes, you're not a day-to-day parent any longer, And then as a child, it all depends on your upbringing, right? Like some kids were very sheltered and parents were very strict. So when they get there, they couldn't be happier to be in college, and they explore all the exploring, right? So, and then there's the kids who, came up with some autonomy, but not all, and they're like, I have a pretty decent transition. Like I'm good. And there's some kids that don't know what to do when they get there, and they can't take it. So I'm kind of all over the place, but just bear with me. So one of the things that plagued a lot of athletes from specifically where I'm from, but in general, the inner city, one of the things that plagued a lot of athletes is when they went away to college, we always wanted to come back home. Like we always wanted to come back home. And it's because, everybody's different, but it's like there's a comfort there. You got to think like if like some of the best athletes that I've known from Connecticut, basketball or football, some of the best athletes didn't make it through college. When I say college, I mean that freshman year, because they came back, just to be home where nothing has changed, but it's comfort. And there's somebody at home, you know what I'm saying? Like there's somebody to their parents and or to the street. So it's like, I'm comfortable here. So that was one of the things that kept going in the back of my mind. Like I was ready to quit. Like I'm sure we all were at one time or another. I was ready to quit. But the one thing that kept playing in my mind is like, you can't be, and it's a prominent athlete from New Britain who's a friend of mine, but I won't say his name, but I was like, you can't be him. Like you can't be him. And that's one of the things that kept me in school. I'm like, I don't want to be him. I don't want to be that person. I'm like, man, Bellamy was really good in high school, and then he went off to UConn, and what could have been, so that was my thing. So yes, as an athlete, you have a lot of things pulling at you. You have the
you're going orientation while you're practicing too.
Yeah, and the orientation, Cully, is literally and figuratively, right? Like you're going through a literal orientation, then you're going through your own orientation about how do you get oriented to this new surrounding, and some people adapt quicker than others. Some people lean into the team aspect and lean on, for guidance and things like that, and others that pushes them further away.
Yeah, and you weren't there when they still had freshman practice, and
yes, I was.
Oh, you were.
My year was the last year.
You were the last year. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I went to freshman camp.
So freshman camp was the absolute worst.
Yep.
We had 7 offensive linemen. The first day of freshman camp, we had doubles. After the first practice, we had lunch with the group and everything. We come back for the second practice. There's a note in one of our linemen's locker saying, I quit. I can't do this.
Bro.
And I just remember being shocked.
In my opinion, the only purpose of freshman camp is to get people to quit. Like
it was brutal. Yeah.
Bro, I'll never forget. His name is Walter Champion. We played against each other in high school. We used to, he went to Weaver High, I went to New Britain High, and we would share, not share, but we would go to what was called Camp Roland at the time, which was the military base out in Niantic. and we would practice for preseason. So it was Weaver High School, New Britain High School, and one year Bloomfield High School went. And but he walked on. He walked on to the team with us, and he was a familiar face. So we was chopping it up and everything like that. He was a wide receiver. I'll never forget the freshman camp. The Hartford Current had him on the front page of the sports section, throwing up, and either that was his last day or the next day was his last day. Like, we didn't see him again. You know what I mean? Like, and it was serious, man. It was serious. Like, that's why, dude, non-scholarship athletes, they have the utmost. I have the utmost respect for non-scholarship athletes, because they are doing this for the love of the game. And I don't know if it could be me, Cully. I don't know. Like, I wanted to quit with a full scholarship. I don't know if I would have made it if I wasn't on full scholarship.
I can tell you, at the end of that first day, all of us were calling home. And I didn't really know Ed at the time, which is even funnier.
Oh, man.
And I was on the phone with my dad. I was like, Dad, I don't know if I can do this. I think I want to come home. And he gave me a very shocking answer. He was like, no problem. You want to come home? We'll look at SUNY Albany. We'll look at Colgate. We can look at other schools. If you don't think you can do it, no problem. And I was shocked at that answer. And I covered the phone. I turned around to Ed, who I'd known for one day. And I just asked him, I said, Ed, what are you thinking? What do you want to do? Are we staying or are we going? And he goes, full scholarship, man. I'm staying. So, and I always tell a story. I go, yeah, Dad, I guess I'm staying. So I'll let you know how things go. Bye. But
bro,
yeah, that's the reason I stayed. If Ed had said, no, man, I think I'm out, I think I would have left. But Ed said, yeah, I'm in.
How interesting is that? That you got an answer that you weren't expecting. I wonder if you would have got the answer you were expecting, would your decision be different? Right? Like out of spite, could you? I mean, we will never know, right? But my best friend, he had the same conversation with his mom, and she responded the same way your dad responded. Basically, oh, yeah, come on, we'll come get you right now. And then that took him back. He's like, wait, I just can't quit this easy. So what's interesting, man?
Maybe that's it. Maybe that I didn't even think about that part. Maybe that answer was why, hearing that changed everything.
Yeah, because you're not expecting it, so it kind of like caught you off guard.
Yeah, it did. So, yeah,
bro. What's crazy? I never called my parents to tell them that I want to quit, because I did, but I never called them. You know why? I don't think I wanted them to worry. Like, now I called who I needed to call. Like, I called my basketball coach, who was my mentor. I called him and he set me straight. But I don't know what they would have said. My parents, because they never went to college or anything like that, and I don't know what they would have said. I don't know. I don't even know if they would have known how to handle that. And that also could have been part of the reason why I didn't call them.
I can't even imagine being a parent and hearing that, because, it's something that your kid has worked so hard for, and you drop them off, and 3 days later you're getting a call that, I don't know if I can do this. Maybe I should come home. So I don't know if I can handle hearing that. I don't know how I would respond to hearing that. But
so I have a story. So my daughter, she didn't play a sport or anything like that. So background, my daughter's dream school, for one reason or another, was University of Rhode Island. She didn't get into URI, but she got into UConn. And she got into UConn and a bunch of other Connecticut schools, but UConn was the best. of all the schools she applied for. Well, I guess she got in the Quinnipiac too, so I guess that's kind of questionable. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So, she got in a UConn, but she had to go through the summer program. So she went through the summer program. Let me back up. Before she decided on UConn, she was so adamant about not going to UConn, and that she said she wants to go to Southern. And I'm like, Southern's not a bad school unless you're comparing it to UConn. Then it's like it's not as good, right? So I'm like, you know what? It's your life. I know this is a bad decision, but it's your life. So if this is what you want to do, I'll let you go ahead and do it. I go to start to fill out the financial aid package and all of that. And Southern had the nerve to be more expensive than UConn. Not by a ton, but enough to piss me off. So on principle, I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not paying more money for you to go to Southern.
A worse school.
Yeah, for inferior school. I'm not doing that. So I'm like, you can go to UConn and stay for a year. And if you want to transfer to URI, you're more than welcome to do that. But I'm not paying for Southern. So then she goes to the summer program begrudgingly. And after the first week or so, 2 weeks, whatever, she comes home. She's like, I'm not going back. I'm like, yep. She's like, I'm not going back. I'm like, all right. I was like, but if you're going to be in my house, you're going to have a job or you're going to go to school. So,
Take your pick.
You figure out where you're going, but you don't got to go back to UConn, but you're going somewhere. And she's like, yeah, but if I stay, are you going to ground me? I'm like, Bree, you're 18 years old. There's no punishment that I can give you that will compare to what life's about to do to you for not going back to college. So I said, yeah, the punishment is in you not going. You're going to learn. You won't learn today, but you're going to learn. So she eventually went back. And then at the end of the summer program, she took me out to lunch and she was like, Dad, I really loved it. I don't know why I was acting like that. It was probably the best decision we ever made. I'm like, awesome. So yeah, it happens to non-athletes too, is my point.
No, I completely agree with you. Absolutely. This was a question that was asked by someone who is going to a MAC program. When did the pressure to perform stop being motivating and start becoming mentally exhausting?
I don't know that it ever became mentally exhausting for me.
Right.
So
It's different. Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. And sometimes it's hard to see this perspective, right? When things get tough, when things are challenging. I read somewhere one time, like, we could wake up, for those folks who either go to school, go to work, whatever you do that can be, go to the gym, right? Whatever you that can be challenging, whatever you do that can be challenging. We can wake up and say, man, I got to go to the gym, or man, I got to go to work. It's like, no, you actually get to do those things, right? Like those things are a privilege.
You're lucky to have that.
Yeah, right. Like, and sometimes, don't get me wrong, it's hard to see that perspective, but don't forget, it's still a privilege, regardless if you can see it or not. So the fact that you are mentally exhausted from performance means somebody cares enough about you that they have expectations for you, right? Like, think about it like that. Now, again, I'm not mitigating or minimizing the mental drain or strain that you're feeling. I'm not minimizing that. Those are real things. But what I'm saying is perspective, right? Perspective is everything. If you are that mentally drained from the performance component, I would suggest you speak to somebody, right, who can help you.
Yeah.
But remember, there may be a time in your life where nobody expects anything from you. And I don't know that you're going to like that place, right? that may be the worst place for you to ever be in when there's no expectations for you. So just perspective.
By far. And if you're mentally exhausted, you're probably a lineman. And I can tell you, it's just going to keep coming. So do your best to study your assignments overnight. Know who you have in pass pro. Don't get the quarterback killed. It'll become easier. I promise.
Dude, like running backs by no means had it easy.
No.
but linemen, dude, you guys, man, you're the biggest humans on the field, and you're doing everything that everybody else is doing. You know, like that's I'm not gonna lie. There's not a practice that of memory where you guys just didn't look defeated, regardless if you were or you weren't. Like, I don't remember a time seeing a lineman like happy. like you guys always just was going through it, man. Like you guys are always going through it.
No, and Norris always took the extra steps. You know, he would show us where the quarterback launch point was. Would show us how the running back would read inside zone, you know, B gap, and then he would decide whether to cut it or keep it going. So those little things always made things better for us. It was a deeper understanding, but it was intricate. So I completely understand that. This is interesting, and I know you've talked about this before. Chris, how much of your self-worth is connected to your role on the team, and is it healthy to think that way?
So I'm not sure what team they're talking about. I'm not sure if they're talking about when I played or like my team in corporate.
Your role on the college at UConn.
So,
and I know
that's a good question because I think put it this way, then and now, no role defines me. In fact, I literally just had a call yesterday with my boss, and he was like, he's like, Bells, you're the one who explained to me that there's the role, excuse me, there's the person and then there's the title, you know, and I've always been the person, regardless of title, whether I'm the starting running back, the backup running back, the director, the executive. I've always been the person, right? That just happened to have the title versus the title, and then there's the person. So it's a two-part answer. So self-worth initially was tied to the starting job. And again, anybody who's played football understands that most of that game is mental. For all the physical, most of it is mental. And for me personally, right, I'm speaking for myself, when I came off the best camp I had ever had, arguably probably the best running back camp in UConn history, or if not not the one, top three. So, and we battled, and I just felt like I earned that spot. Then for me to not get it, I would say that's when, again, unbeknownst to me, I didn't have the language or the understanding, but when I didn't get the job, that's when I went into a depression. Yeah. And I didn't care anymore. So, because the truth is, had I been mentally strong, and again, I'm not blaming myself for not being, I'm just saying, had I been, I would have gotten the opportunity the next game to prove why I should have got the job. Yeah. But my identity at that point was tied to that starting job. And not because I felt like I was owed something. It's because I felt like I earned it.
Yeah.
You know, and then on top of that, it's another layer, right? Like when you're a local kid going to a Division I college, we talk about pressure. This is actually a good segue. We talk about pressure, right? So a lot of people who play sports will have the university pressure, the coaching pressure, the peer pressure, all those things. But my pressure was a little different, and I'm not making this about me, and or nor am I saying I'm the only one who experiences this or who experienced this. But you got to think, my family, regardless of statistics, they're like, he's going to play Division I football. He's going to the NFL, and he's going to get us out of this situation. So you got pressure to perform from your teammates, from your coaches, from your university. Then you got pressure from, I had pressure from home where it's like, oh, nah, like you got to get us up out of here. Right. So when you lose, so for me at that moment, I am on pace to do all those things. And then when I lose the spot or I don't earn the spot, now it's like, so you're saying I can't get my family out this situation, you know? And again, nobody said that directly, but indirectly, that's exactly what I heard. Because in order for me to get my family out this situation, I have to go out there and play and make some plays so I can get picked up. And if I can't start, that limits the amount of plays. Because again, remember, ladies and gentlemen, we played at a time where it wasn't a 2 running back show. It was a 1 running back show. And you got in when he got tired. That's how it was. But and now it's different, right? Now it's flex backs, there's all kinds of things that they're doing. But back then it wasn't like that. So for me, I'm like, well, shit, I'm done. I'm done. Like there's no reason for me to show up and go hard no more because you just took my livelihood away. Now, again, I wasn't mentally tough at that point to be able to see through that and be like, nah, you're gonna get your shot. And then when I got my shot, I squandered it because I was already done mentally. You know? So and then fortunately, you know, I got it back the next year, whatever. But it doesn't matter. At that moment, I didn't. So I had to go through that. And then because I went through that, from that point on, I never got too caught up in the title, right? Because that's what you're asking me, right? Like the role of the captain, the role of the starter, the role of the leader, like how much of your identity was tied to that. I never got caught up in that. I was just like, from that point on, I went through that bad situation mentally. And I'm like, all right. From that point on, I'm like, don't count the plays, make the plays count. Literally, I would say that going up for every rep in practice and every rep in the game after that, me going through that situation. So to answer your question with the short answer, I did tie my identity to my title prior to losing the job. And then once I lost the job, I was able to understand who I am at my core and what I need to do, regardless of circumstances.
Yeah. And I was in a similar situation because when you have a freshman who comes in and plays over you, you do think the sky is falling. You do think that you're not going to get another opportunity. And my identity was really tied to that. And I felt the same way when I went through a phase when I wasn't starting. I tried too hard. I got hurt and I kept playing through it. And it took Norris, our offensive line coach, who would never do this, who told me you're done and to go get treatment. And but that's how bad I wanted to play. Yeah, that's 100% true with how you feel in the moment. It's very tough to understand that you will get other moments and opportunities, and you have to make them count. And that's just it's a business. That's just how it is now. And Chris was playing behind one of the best that we've ever had. You know, there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about that. That's just how it is. Um, this was also asked, what what's the mental toll knowing one bad practice, one bad game can change how coaches, fans, even your teammates view you?
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So, and I'll explain. So you'll remember this, Cully. What the coaches always say: you're only one play away, right? You may think if the person asking this question is an active athlete playing, you may think that's the case, right? Just based on your experience in life right now, you may really believe that. So I'm not saying you don't truly believe that in your heart of hearts, but I'm telling you from somebody who's older than you and has gone through this, that's not the case. A couple of reasons. One, nobody knows what's going to happen in the season, right? Nobody. So you never know when you're going to get a chance to redeem yourself, right? Two, you got to have a short-term memory. Now, I will say it's easier said than done, but you have to have a short-term memory. Three, everybody loves an underdog. Everybody, right? Think about it. Like, just again, you're asking me the question, so I'm giving you my experience. When I lost my spot, I went to wide receiver. Like, I played wide receiver, right? And I probably could have been really good if I really applied myself. I mean, I was still in the 2 deep and all of that, but I'm just like, or three, I was 3 deep. But I'm like,
You were a great athlete. I mean,
yeah, it's like I could make it work, but my heart of hearts wasn't in it.
Yeah.
But what happened? So just perspective, again, the running back that Cully mentioned was Terry Cully, who his birthday was the other day. I texted him. But Terry Cully was the year that I didn't get the starting job. He was a freshman. That year, he led all freshman rushers in the country. That's one. He had more yards than Maurice Claret, right? Who was a Heisman candidate, perspective. 2, the second year, when he came back as a starter, when he got hurt, he was leading the nation in rushing.
He was by a lot.
Right? So I didn't lose to a slouch. You know what I mean? But my point is, he got hurt. Like, he's objectively one of the best running backs in the country, objectively. And he got hurt. So I had another opportunity.
Next man up.
Yeah. And that was it. And here's the crazy shit. I wasn't even the next man up. At that point, when I moved back to running back, I was third string.
Right.
Because Cornell Brockington became the starter. And because Matt Lawrence was in the 3 deep before Terry got hurt, he became the backup. So what happens? That week in practice, Brock, I don't know what the hell happened to Brock. You talk about pressure. Maybe it got to him because in practice, he just couldn't remember his plays. He could not remember his plays. I never seen anything like it. I don't know if he was scared. I don't know what. And he ended up going on to be a great running back in his own right. But that week, he couldn't get it together. And then Matt Lawrence, a true freshman, he becomes a starter. And that's my guy. Like, Matt is my guy. And Matt was athletic as they come, right? Also, by the way, Matt played 6 years in the NFL, right? So as athletic as they come. But Matt was just a freshman, right? So he was green, So we went in against Lehigh. He was starting. And then Matt fumbles and like kicks the ball like 13 yards upfield, right? And then I come in. I come in on third down. Third down, right? I'm just giving you perspective on how things can turn around. I come in on third down. I get the handoff and I fall. I slipped and fell in the backfield. So I'm like, oh, they ain't never put me back in the game, right? But I'm like, as soon as I said that to myself, because remember, I'm coming off a year where I was in a depression. So I'm like, next play up. Don't count the plays, make the plays count. That's what I said to myself after I got off the ground. After I said they never put me back in, I was like, make the plays count. And then I ended up going off right on a tear, right? But my point is, it's never about one game or one play or anything like that. Like you're always, you never know when you're going to have another opportunity. But the key to that is you have to stay ready.
Don't take yourself out of the game.
You can't THO, right? Took himself out. You can't be that guy, because when the opportunity presents itself, you're going to squander it. And again, and listen, I'm speaking from experience. It's easier said than done, but that's why you have to leverage your resources. I didn't have these resources when I was going through this. I had to get myself through this. You know what I mean? And there was nobody I could call. Like there wasn't any friends or family members who played college sports that I could lean on and be like, yo, that's what I'm going through. And they can give me words of encouragement, right? I was creating my own path. So that's what I would say. I'm like, don't believe one bad game, one bad play is the end all be all. Everybody loves the underdog, and you're only one play away.
All right, I'll give you this last one because this was interesting. This is from a player at a Big Ten school. He asks, "What's one truth about college athletes' mental health that people outside of the sport still don't understand?" I would say football. I would probably be referring to.
What's one truth? That's a good question. Very thought provoking.
It's a Big Ten kid. He didn't say what school he was from, but that's amazing that a Big Ten kid is messaging us.
What's one truth about an athlete's mental health that the public doesn't seem to understand? Is that basically the gist of the question?
Yeah, I would say, what's one truth about college football athletes' mental health that people outside the sport still don't understand?
Still don't understand.
I mean, I think it's attacks on social media. I think going on Twitter and attacking a college athlete is awful, and they see that stuff, and I like it. It would affect my mental health. I mean, I wouldn't be able to tune that out if I'm getting tagged and attacked, something like that. Like that would probably affect me, and I don't, people understand that. And then, with the betting world, you can bet on college sports and they attack kids, if they don't get a certain amount of yardage or completions, or, oh, you cost me this amount of money. And they do it to pro sport athletes too. But I think they go hard on college athletes on social media. And I mean, I think that affects them. I don't know how it couldn't.
Yeah, I think one truth that is understated more than not is that these college athletes, and I'll speak for all athletes, definitely football, but they're still figuring life out.
Yeah, that's true. They're babies.
All right. They're still figuring life out, and a lot of them have never been in this position before as they figure out life. So I always say, right, with me, like, one, I'm in general not an oversharer, but if I am sharing, it's because I've reconciled how I feel about that situation before I bring it to you all, right? Whoever that is. The challenge with college athletes is they don't even have a chance at times to process that, right? Whatever the circumstances, if it's betting, if you didn't get enough yards, if you're not starting anymore, whatever the case, they, in a lot of cases, haven't even checked in with themselves to see how they are going to deal with, currently dealing, feeling before they have to explain to you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so that's what I mean when I'm saying like they're still figuring it out. Like they don't, most kids, maybe not most, but a lot of kids who play college sports, I would say most, are feeling this level of adversity for the first time in their lives, right?
Absolutely.
Because adversity looks different for everybody. So, for instance, my first time sitting down with my therapist, she told me when I gave her like kind of like my life story or whatever, she told me, she's like, "Oh, wow. So you've lived your whole life on adrenaline," were her exact words. And I'm like, adrenaline? No, I'm not. I'm not an adrenaline junkie. Like, that's not my thing. She's like, no, Chris, like, your life has been like a constant move.
Yeah.
Like it's a like that's adrenaline producing activities. And I'm like, no, it's just Thursday. Right? Like this like
Right. But
it didn't register to me that somebody else can view this as an adrenaline driven life. Where I'm like, no, these are just my circumstances and I'm getting through them as I'm getting through it. So my point is, I go into college, that's not adversity to me. That's just life.
Yeah.
But I'm dealing with stuff on the field that I've never dealt with before. Right. And I'm dealing with things in the classroom I never dealt with before. I'm dealing with things relationship wise on campus I've never dealt with before because I haven't had this much exposure.
Right.
So we can say the reason why I said most is because kids have had hard lives before they got to college, but a lot of them don't even view that as a hard life because they don't know any other life. You see what I'm saying? So when they start seeing things on the field, a lot of them, for them, that's the real adversity. So then they don't know how to handle that. Now they may be able to handle their lights getting shut off and figure out how to way to get their homework done. They may be able to figure that, and that's not even that big of a deal to them. Right. But somebody jumping in their DMs talking about you just cost me $1,000. Like, how do I process that as an 18, 19-year-old kid? Right. Like whatever response I give is wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so how do you process that? And do I have the maturity to not respond? And the answer is no, most likely. Right. Being 18, 19. So my point is that's the thing is like, they're still figuring it out. Like they don't get the grace, unfortunately, because they're public figures, but they are still figuring it out. I think that's probably the one thing that's understated more than not.
That's 100% true, and that's a great answer. That's a great answer. Guys, I apologize. We didn't get to all your questions. I tried to get to the main ones, but we appreciate your engagement and send them in. We want to help as many of you as possible, so we appreciate it. So for as I said, Chris Bellamy, he's the man. He's a former UConn star, host of the hit podcast All Black Men Need Therapy, mental health advocate, champion for fathers' rights. Steve Cully, best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take two oranges and throw them back at life.